This is page 18. So notice that right here, it'll tell you what you're solving for. So it'll say solve for, it doesn't say the actual word solve, but it says, you know, for A, we need to isolate A. This one says isolate B. So it has to tell you what variable to isolate because there's more than one variable in the problem. Okay. So right now, the problem has been isolated for C because it says equals C. So you are going to follow the exact same steps as if you did have numbers. You're going to use the inverse operations to get the variable by itself. So if I wanted to get A by itself, the first thing I'm going to look is see what else is over there with that A term. And you see there's a B term. Okay, so I'm going to start with that first. Generally, you probably, generally, not, I can't say 100% of the time, but generally, the one that you're trying to isolate is almost always the last one you do. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of that B, and that B is just like a positive B. So pretend like it was a positive 2. If I say, how do you get the positive 2 to the other side, you would say subtract 2. So same thing here, I'm going to subtract B. Because I'm trying to isolate A. All right, now notice I did not put it directly under the C. Can you tell me why? Yes. Right, I'm not subtracting it from C because I can't subtract a B from a C. Okay, because they're considered unlike terms. So you can add a C to a C, but not a C and a B. Okay, so this is gone. I'm going to bring down what's left over here, which is negative 2A. These are considered unlike terms, so I'm just going to write it as C minus B. I cannot simplify that anymore because they're unlike terms. Okay, any questions on just the first step? Negative 2 is now considered a coefficient to A, or has always been considered that. So, but this is going to be the last step we do. So we're going to divide both sides by negative 2. So I'll now have isolated A. A equals C minus B divided by negative 2. Or if you actually want to divide through by the negative, you could say negative C plus B divided by 2, because then I've divided through by the negative. Either one I would accept. All right, let's look at number 2. Okay, in number 2, we're isolating B. So first thing I do is I look over to the right and I see what else is over there with that B. So I see this, okay, which is the plus 3. And I see a positive 6C. Now, generally, you're going to get rid of anything with your pluses and minuses. There are some exceptions. When they're fractions, you want to eliminate fractions first. Okay, so we want to eliminate, in this case, we're going to eliminate the positive 3. So we're going to subtract 3 from both sides. But look, I can actually put the 3 under the other constant because they're like terms. I can now put 4 minus 3, which is 1. Minus A equals 6C minus B. So this is considered now a positive 6C. So I'm going to subtract it to get it to the other side. Okay, let's move this out the way. So when I bring this down, I'm going to bring it down as, and you can write it as 1 minus A minus 6C equals negative B. Now that negative B means that's a negative 1 as a coefficient. So you can't leave that. You will need to divide by everything by negative 1. So I'm just going to divide each term. You can do it as one long line if you like, as long as you know that each term is being divided by that negative. So that's just going to change first term to a negative 1, positive A, positive 6C equals to B. And when you have one that's division, this is considered a division bar here. So when you have that division bar, you want to get rid of that denominator first. You don't want to do the plus and minus here first. You want to get rid of that negative divided by negative 4c. So, and we're solving for c. I'm going to put 4c over here because I'm going to write over top of this. All right, so I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 4c. Okay, I did that so that would eliminate the fraction on the left. I'm going to write down what I have left after that, 8a minus 4b equals, now you can multiply unlike terms, equals negative 4c. All right, and then since I'm solving for c, I'm going to, and that's negative 4 is being multiplied, I'm going to do the inverse, which is to divide. So when I divide, I'm going to get negative 2a plus b equals to c. Okay, negative 2a plus b equals to c. So same process for the next one. Number 4, I have to get rid of this divided by b. So I'm going to multiply by b on both sides. So that takes care of that divided by b. I'll bring down 6a. Now, actually, instead of bringing down 6a minus 7a, can I just combine those together and just get negative a? Because 6 minus 7 is negative 1. So negative a minus b plus c equals to 3b. Now, keep in mind, I'm solving for a. So let's get rid of the b term first. So let's add b to both sides. Now I can put these underneath one another because they're both b's. So what's 3 b's plus another b? All right, so that's going to give me 4b. So the only thing I need to do 2 more things. I need to subtract c. And then what else? I just take the negative. What do you want me to do? What operation? Divide by the negative. So that's going to give me a equals negative 4b plus c. Okay. All right, any questions on that? Okay, so I'm going to let you guys do the next one. And then we'll come back and do number 6. Okay, so you can check to see if you had the same thing. Now, since addition follows the commutative property, if you did have 3c plus 2a equals to b, it is still correct. Okay. All right, let's do number 6. All right, so in question number 6, okay, got it. In question number 6, we're going to distribute first. So if I distribute this 1/2, so half of 2 is 1, half of 4 is 2. Okay. And then I want to solve for c. So I am going to add a to both sides. And we can do this at the same time. Let's go ahead and add a and subtract c. We don't necessarily have to do it all in 2 separate steps. So that gets rid of that, that gets rid of that at the same time. So I'm left with a minus 2b equals to 2c.
Don't you have to divide by 2?
All right, we're not done because we're solving for c.
Don't you have to divide by 2?
And actually, this is not 2c anymore. Hold on. All right, this is just c because 2 minus 1 is just c. And really, we are done.
Is that one considered?
I want to add one to this page. So at the bottom, let's just call this one 6a. Okay, didn't mean to grab that. All right, let's call this 6a. V equals, write this down, 1/3 BH. And this is the volume formula, 1/3 times the area of the base times the height. Okay, and then let's say I want you guys to solve for H. I'm just going to underline it. Okay, we want to solve for H. What do you think will be the first thing I do? Yes. Yes, you want to get rid of fractions first. So how do I get rid of 1/3? How do I make that one whole so you can't see it? Multiply by the reciprocal. What is that called when you multiply by the reciprocal? What property? Inverse property of multiplication. So we're going to multiply this side by 3 and this side by 3, which now, okay, so now that gets rid of my, not really gets rid of it because it makes it one whole, but we don't write 1 as a coefficient. So we have 3v. Let me move this up so those at the back can see. 3v equals to the area of the base times the height. Okay, and then to solve for h, since b is being multiplied by h, I want to divide by b. So 3v divided by the area of the base equals to the height. Okay. Now, you know, like always, there's always some exception to everything, okay? So in number 9, this one, since they're asking you to solve for C, and you have C located in a couple of areas here in this term, and in this term, and in this term. So I'm going to show you, and I'm going to also probably write another one so you can kind of get used to what you would have to do to get just one C there and not a BC and a BC. So first, let's just put the BC to the other side. So let's subtract BC here and BC here. Let's get them all to the left. Okay, so that's going to give me C minus 2BC. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. Equals what? Equals A. All right. So I just need to get everything to the one side that had C's in them, because this is what you would have to do then. Then you have to call what we call factor out the C. Like, what do these two terms have in common? They have a C in common. So you say, okay, I'm going to divide by that common factor. C goes into C one time. C goes into C one time. I'm left with 2B. Now, it almost looks like reverse distributive property, because if I distribute this back out, if I actually multiply this, I get C. Multiply that, I get 2BC. Okay, so it's almost like going in reverse order, but we actually call it factoring the common factor out. That's a little different. When you have the variable that you're trying to isolate in two different terms, you have to get one of those variables. You can't have a C and a BC. So you take that common variable outside, like I just did, and you simply divide by that common variable. Okay, and that gives you 1 minus 2B. Okay, so now C is being multiplied by all of this in parentheses. So how do you think I'm going to solve this? Since it's being multiplied, what's the opposite of multiplication? Division. So I'm going to divide both sides by 1 minus 2B. Okay, you can put the parentheses around it or not, doesn't matter. Okay, so C equals A divided by 1 minus 2B. Okay. All right, so we'll make up one. All right, so let's just call this 9A. Okay, since this is 9. So let's just make up one where you would have to factor out the common, and we want to solve for A. Okay, so we're trying to solve for A. We want to isolate A, but I see A in two different terms. So I'm going to factor out that A on the outside, and then I'm going to divide by A. So A goes into itself one time. A goes into that. Well, the A just disappears, and I'm left with 4B equals to 2. Okay, since I'm trying to, again, isolate A, I just then divide by 1 minus 4B. And then I write my final answer as A equals 2 divided by 1 minus 4B. Right. And you don't need to divide through by that at all. Okay, just leave it as 2 divided by 1 minus 4B. Okay, so take out your spiral notebooks. You cannot do the work on page 20. This page has to be done in your spiral. You're only going to be writing the answers to the problems on the worksheet. Okay, so this is part 2, page 20. When you are looking at these types of problems, because there are obviously so many different type of word problems we can solve, these are going to be solved by setting up proportions. So we did that lesson the other day where you cross, multiply, and solve. So remember I gave you the definition of proportions. I said that's like setting two ratios or two quantities that you're comparing equaling to one another and then cross multiplying and solving it. So it says if there are 560 calories in 8 ounces, so it looks like our ratio will be comparing calories to ounces, how many calories are in 3 ounces of meat? Okay, so you're going to set it up, and I'm going to put it up here, but you're going to be writing in your spiral notebooks. So I'm comparing calories, and I always like to write what I'm comparing, to ounces. Now, you can definitely compare calories to calories, ounces to ounces. You have to just make sure you're comparing in the same order on both sides. If you want to compare ounces to calories, so you'll know where you're placing your numbers correctly. But if I'm using calories, then 560 will go at the top. 8 ounces will go at the bottom. And then it says how many calories. For the second one, I don't know. So that's my variable. To 3 ounces, ounces at the bottom. If you don't have your numbers compared in the right places, in the wrong positions, you're not going to get the right answer. Okay, now I'm not going to solve it. You're going to solve it. I think that comes out to 210. And then you'll just put 210 here. Okay, now at the bottom, you should find the answer 210 and cross it out. You don't fill these spots in until you have like crossed out all the answers that you're going to cross out, and then whatever letters are left are the ones that go in the boxes. Okay, so you can't really fill this bottom part in until you see what letters are left. Okay, so it's not like you fill in the ones that you are getting. You eliminate those and only fill in the boxes that are left. Okay, all right, so in the second one, you're comparing, looks like cubic feet to pounds. So if you want to compare in that order, just make sure you have your cubic foot number at the top, your pounds at the bottom. Okay, set it up. This is the last one I'll set up with you. So we have 2 cubic feet to 25 pounds equals how much do 9 cubic feet weigh? So we have 9, and then my pounds is at the bottom, so that will be X, because you're missing the second weight. So again, it might be a good idea to say feet are at the top, pounds at the bottom, so you'll know and make sure you're putting the numbers in the proper places. The only thing I want to say about number 3 is 1 is in seconds and 1 is in minutes. So you probably need to change these 10 minutes to seconds, because you can't multiply seconds and minutes together. Okay, so just make sure you multiply that by 60 so you'll have the correct number of seconds. Okay guys, so what you're going to do is finish up this page and the this page here, which is what page number? All right, so 19 and 20. So you're going to be finishing up 19 and 20 for your classwork today. Okay, pages 19 and 20. I think there's 6 left on each.